Today's skill is sponsored by Squarespace. Let's learn to make this super useful Woods Witch herbalist bag. Stay tuned. Greetings adventurers and welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. So recently I was approached by a friend and asked to make some props for a thing that they might be doing. What the thing is, not important, but one of the props that I came up with actually, I love so much that I just couldn't wait. I had to make it. It's basically for like a Woods Witch character that uses, the natural world to do their magic. The design I came up with is actually this little guy here. Basically, it is a mortar and pestle that is fashioned to become a little pouch so you can gather your herbs and then, do your thing to make your potions afterwards. Again, once I drew it, I was like, I gotta make it. I kind of love that thing. So that is today's episode. Today we're gonna make this kind of pouch of the Woods Witch. Very excited about it. Oh, and along the road, I learned just the coolest little leather hack I think you're really gonna love. It's stupid, but it's awesome. All right, without much further ado, let's just jump right into this thing. Now to start with, I actually got this mortar and pestle set right from ye olde Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description below. It's small enough where it wouldn't feel weird to kind of carry around with you, but big enough that it would be like a good sizable pouch. That said, with the bottom of it here, I felt it was just a little bit too chunky, like a little bit too heavy. So my first act of business is actually to just go ahead and remove that. But I didn't want to remove so much that I would kill the integrity of the thing. I want there to be actually like a functional mortar and pestle. So to make sure, I just used my square here and dropped it down so that it was measuring exactly how deep the bowl is. Then moving that to the outside, I can see where that lands and make note that there's plenty of space down there if I get rid of that big chunk. Confident it's now not gonna just kind of destroy the bowl on me, I went in there with a saw and just kind of cut that thing off. I made that look really fast. This is definitely a hardwood. A handsaw was a choice. Let me tell you what. I got my workout in. Let's put it that way. Anyways, now I got this cute little bowl here that's actually super light. I just went back in with some sandpaper to round off where I just cut and kind of even out any unevenness that I made with my saw. Okay, so that is the bowl bit. That's gonna form the bottom of our pouch. To make the leather part though, that actually becomes like the sack's top, I'm using this kit leather. I actually got this stuff when I was making some leather gloves. It's really super supple. And that's important to me because I'm not making a small bag, right? Like I want this thing to be something you could gather a lot of herbs in. As such, I want it to have some height, which means there's gonna be a lot of leather there. So when I close it up like a pouch, that gather at the top, I don't wanna be too super chunky. So the thinner I can make this, the better. Now to kind of facilitate this whole thing, I need the leather to be round and have a hole in the middle of it, which is where the actual mortar is gonna go. To do this, I just used my compass and drew a circle that was just about a 1/2 inch smaller all the way around than the inside of that bowl. This way, after I've cut that circle out, it's a really tight fit to get it around the outside of that bowl. I want that because I'm relying on this thing staying put, and it being that tight is gonna help with that. Now, once I've got it secure around the outside of this thing, I now need to finish it off like the outer rim of that thing to be a big circle. To do this, I actually just used a string and held my cutter at the end of that string, which helped me make a nice lazy loop. This isn't perfect. I'm not looking for perfect with this. It's like a Woods Witch thing. If you were to do it perfect, cut the outer circle first, because then you can keep like your point directly in the middle and make a perfect circle, and then cut your inner circle. This, just fine for me. I'm good with this. Though, it was at this point that I noticed something that's gonna turn out to be pretty cool. Check out this little piece of leather that is stuck in my rotary cutter. I was crazy confused by this. As I was cutting, there just kept being this little piece of leather strip that was left behind. That's never happened to me before. So I took the thing apart and lo and behold, I'm just stupid and there are 2 blades inside of there. Not sure how I did that. I mean, they stick together a little bit with oil in the packaging, but I just didn't notice it. But lightning struck my brain with that one. So I decided to really lean into this. I figured if we could take something to space it out, like maybe these 2 washers here, and actually stack them on top of each other, like making a little washer sandwich with my blades, and then put everything back together. When I cut with that, I should come out with basically lace. And I'll be damned if when I test it, it didn't work a treat. It is perfect, actually. Like the lace, the thickness of it, it's nice and strong. It's super easy to cut. In fact, I just went back in and retraced the outside of that big circle that I had cut, kind of spiraling out a couple of times, and it ended up giving me just this massive amount of lacing. This is the easiest I think I've ever made lace before. I love that. That's like a Bob Rossian moment. It's so great. Just the happiest of accidents. Really cool. I love it when you find a tool or whatever that takes something that it's usually really difficult and makes it dead easy. Which is why I love today's sponsor, Squarespace. I'm not gonna lie, I've been using Squarespace forever. Like, our skill tree website has always been on Squarespace. And it really does make designing your own website crazy easy. And even easier still now because it has this thing, it's design intelligence. It's basically AI that helps you build out your website. And even if you don't use that feature, they have so many templates to start from that you can just tweak a little bit to make exactly what you need it to be. But aside from building the actual look of the thing, it's just crazy easy to use if you want to set up a store to accept payments, if you want to have like a gallery of all your works, it's so easy to put together. In the world we live in today, if you have a business, having a website is just absolutely a must, and Squarespace makes it really easy to do that. So if you're ready to get your message out there, just head to squarespace.com for a free trial. Then when you're ready to launch your masterpiece, just go to squarespace.com/skilltree to save 10% off of your first purchase of a website domain. Again, I've used it for years. I love it, and I think you're gonna love it too. Okay, back to our project. So far, we basically have a donut o' leather. Now, I wanna punch holes because I need a way to like cinch this bag, right? But I want this to cinch evenly because once you pull it, it's gonna make the leather kind of zigzag. And if you're all over the place with this, it's gonna like pull in all uneven. It's gonna look weird. So a really easy way to make sure that I put these holes nice and even is to start by folding my leather in half. Then I just kind of lightly mark where that fold happens on the edges. Then I fold it in half again, and again, mark where those folds happen on the edges. I then do it one more time, kind of going through the layers and marking the face on every side where that fold is. Now, when I unfold it, I have a bunch of little marks to choose from that I can measure in between. All these marks are perfectly evenly spaced around, so by measuring between two of them, I get a good idea of how far apart everything should be. So using my ruler, I see that they're about 7.5 inches apart, which means by setting my compass to 3 3/4 inches, I'm falling directly in between those 2 points. I'm just splitting that distance in half. Then I use a cutting board as a base so I can walk my compass along it, stabbing into it as I go. This is gonna leave me with clear marks on where to punch my holes. And to punch those holes, I'm using the tool I made last episode. Check that out here if you haven't seen it. Oh, this thing is dead useful. It's so easy to just kind of really fast go through, punch all those holes. One of my new favorite tools. I love it so much. And since I just recently made a whole bunch of leather lace, I use that to weave in and out of those little eyes that I made, with both ends exiting out of the same eye at the end. So long as you did everything evenly, you should have an odd amount of holes. This way, when we pull both of them through that hole, the whole thing cinches in on itself. Then I just kind of wrap the excess cordage around the top of it, giving it that classic, almost like money pouch type of vibe. And you can kind of see what the vision is right here with it all closed up, right? Like it looks like a pouch with a wooden bottom. It's kind of neat. You can of course make these much smaller if you want to. I played with the thought of making like half a coconut basically be the bottom, but I wanted to start with a real mortar and pestle just to see how it would be. But here's the neat part about this kind of design, because you can lay it out and have like this big workspace here, or you can actually draw it in and make a little bowl that is around your other bowl. Then you can basically fill that whole little thing up with different herbs and stuff to like add in while you're mixing and whatever. Or if you want to get real fancy, maybe you can put like all these different arcane designs on it in different spots or like different spell areas and stuff. You just do whatever you want with it. Really cool space. It also forms these cool little funnels here, so when you're done, you can pour whatever you just made into like, I don't know, a little pouch or something. Now, it looks cool, but it's held together with like bubble gum in a dream. Like this thing will fall apart if you're not careful, nothing's attached. Starting with this leather here, we need to go ahead and cinch it down so it won't move anywhere. Luckily, this mortar here actually has these nice little grooves already into the side. If it didn't have it, I would absolutely go back in and cut something, maybe with a Dremel or whatever. Just having that nice little groove we can tie into would be totally useful. So again, using the new cordage we just made, I just kind of wrapped it into that groove on the inside, This not only holds that on nicely, but if you flip it over, it gives a nice hard line all around. I also like the thought that if you really wanted to, you could untie it and slide that back off. I don't know why you'd want to. I'll have to figure out some other thing you could do with that round, but I like having options like that. I like that I could disassemble things and maybe make different uses of them if I had to. I guess technically you could tie up one end and turn it over and you have like an opening there to store other stuff in. I don't know, I'll have to think of it. Anywho, the mortar isn't that useful if we don't have the pestle with us, right? So to keep that with us, I went ahead and drilled a hole through the handle, first starting with a smaller pilot hole. I also went in with this little countersink bit, which is just gonna widen up the openings of those holes and make it a lot smoother of a transition. With that good to go, I can just kind of pass that strap through the hole and then tie the whole thing into place, making this nifty little bundle of usefulness right here. Though, although that is a nice nifty little dumpling of a packet, it really does kind of, to me, look just like a dumpling. But even though that's there, it's not really useful to hold on yet. I want this to be something you can wear. So in order to help facilitate that, the best thing I could come up with was actually just this little leather strap here that I added these 2 Sam Browne buttons to. I try to add this equidistant from the ends once it's folded in half, just so that it would be like an even place to hook onto to carry, right? And then to connect it all together, I just put in these little holes that line up with each other when this thing goes tightly around the circumference of my bowl. Finally, I also just cut these little tabs here with a hole and then a buttonhole in the other side. This buttonhole is just gonna make it so it can actually hook on to those little Sam Browne buttons. And the holes in the top are there so that I can pass this rope through it and then tie them off in little knots. These I added onto both ends, so now I have like a strap that can attach to it that I can wear over my shoulder. Finally, I just secured that ring with this little X stitch here, which you can find in this video about different stitches right here. I just didn't film it because filming stitching is just notoriously hard. The camera likes to focus on whatever's closest to it, and it's never the stitch, it's always my fingers. It's a pain in the ass. Anywho, with that in place, all I have to do is put these little tabs onto my buttons, and in theory, I should have a way to hold it. But as you can see, there's an issue here. The issue is, of course, it's heavier on the top than it is on the bottom, and we're past the point where that would kind of equalize with where that holding on is. Had I not cut off that bottom piece, I think it would be fine, but it was a pretty simple fix actually. I just removed those buttons and instead replaced them with an actual rivet, locking it into place. This makes it so that it's less apt to turn over because it doesn't have the flexibility to actually turn on those. But in all honesty, the better way to do this is actually just to, like when I tie the bag shut, to include the straps like this. This not only keeps it perfectly straight and tight to me, but also if I were to loosen it, which by the way, I can actually use the pestle as a way to like gauge how loose to put it by just keeping the knot just outside of that pestle. Kind of cool. But anyways, if I were to loosen it, it stays in that upright position no matter how far open I make. And now I can actually just kind of like pick things and put them into that basket. So if I was actually like an herb lore master, a hedge witch of some sort, I could just be grabbing stuff and putting it in as I see it to process later on. Then when I'm done, I simply pull the cordage tighter through that pestle and tie the whole thing off again, which I thought was pretty cool. This is a pretty cool little pouch we put together right now. But let's go ahead and test it out and see if it works. To do that, I just grabbed some like janky leaves I had outside. I think there's zucchini leaves. We were gardening recently and they were just laying off to the side, all dried up and crusty. Perfect. But you can see once we crush them down, I can then use the edges of that partially closed bowl there to pour it into. Then I simply rotate it off to the side, crush up my next little bit of herbs, and pour that into its own little section as well. The wrinkles of the bag when it's partially closed actually do a really good job of making little partitions as we go around. Then because they form little funnels, it's really easy to kind of decide where to pour these out. Maybe I'm pouring them into a package or a little jar somewhere. And then once I'm done with one, I turn to the next one and again can specifically place my little herbs where I want them. And I think that is actually really cool. Like that is, I think, pretty useful if you were into this type of thing. Though if you do herb lore and stuff, let me know, I guess. But I think that's pretty cool. But my grody little leaves there did teach me a valuable lesson. The inside of my bag is gonna get quite dirty. And if we're outside and it starts to rain or something, the outside of my bag is gonna get like gross as well. So to help weatherproof this thing but still keep it really supple, I'm actually using this mixture that I had made. This is basically the wood sealer we used when we made the Prancing Pony mugs for the Lord of the Rings stand at Comic-Con. But all it is a 1-to-4 mixture of melted beeswax and mineral oil. Just use a double boiler to melt your beeswax, combine your mineral oil, and then you wait until it becomes a paste. If you want it more paste-like, you add more oil. If you want it more of a bar, add a little bit less oil. But I found that this works really great on leather too. You just want to put it on very, very light because it can leave a lot of residue behind if you're not careful. I'm just putting on enough that it changes the color of the leather, but I don't want it to feel oily when I'm done. Then I go back in with a hairdryer, and by heating this up, it helps all the oils and the wax distribute better and leaves the leather feeling almost more like cloth. And check this thing out. I love it. It is my little dumpling of destruction. But no, it is a super useful little thing. Like it holds a lot of stuff. I probably didn't need to make it this big, but I kind of love it. It is mortar, it is pestle, and because the little strap here can come on and off, like you could totally wrap little things around it to hang more herbs, right? You see you kind of walking with a bunch of herbs hanging, maybe some little recipe cards or whatever, and the oil left this so supple, like it's really, really nice. And completely waterproof. When we were making this, Maddie was putting it on the mugs outside, and on my porch, if it rains, you still see where her handprints were. They're like perfect handprints. It is super waterproof, this stuff. But yeah, then once you untie it, like the whole thing, just kind of, you could have it be a little bold this way and fill it with more stuff, or just pull it out all the way until it is basically flat. And again, it'd be cool if you had like, you know, arcane images on here, so you had almost this big magical recipe going on. And in a real pinch, it's a waterproof hat. Maybe not, that's a bit of a stretch. But yeah, I could see you like going into a small town, you have some medicinal herbs, you mix something up. Maybe it'd be cool over time to add little pouches to the inside of this, maybe like every other space, so you still have those little spots to pour things from, but other herbs can rest inside these pouches. So like, picture this, you roll up into a small town somewhere, you have your prepared things already, somebody comes, they say they have a headache or whatever, you open this pouch, you sprinkle some of this in here, you sprinkle some of that in there, you mix it all together. Then you add it to the little thing and you pour it into the little whatever you're giving them, a jar or a little envelope or something of herbs. It's perfect. It's like a whole little herbalist business right in here. I think I like that. I think I will add little pouches to the inside of this. I think it's a good one. But tell me what you would add to this. How would you change it up? What would you do to it to make it even more useful? Leave it down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Now, if you like this project and want to see more like it, give me some of that like it love, and don't forget to subscribe so you know when I release new content. Also, before you go, why don't you leave down in the comment section some projects you might like to see. I'd love to hear what you as a community are interested in seeing here on this channel. We've been growing really fast, and actually we might be getting our own space pretty soon, which is incredible. Actually moving out of the basement. Anyways, it's only possible because of you, so we'd love to make this everything you'd like to see. So thank you for coming along this ride with us. I hope you do give projects like this a try, and in the meantime, keep leveling up, you. You've made it to the end screen. YouTube loves it when you do that. It's a fantastic way to support this channel. Another fantastic way to support this channel is by joining these people's noble ranks. These are our Patreon members, and we can't do any of this without them. Because of them, we're able to afford things like cool mortars and pestles and leather, and a bunch of other random stuff we got kicking around. And as always, an extra special thank you goes to our Grand Master tier Patreon, WildFox99, Froggy, and Dragon Designs. You are all amazing, and I can't express enough how much I appreciate you. If you like what we do here enough to support us, consider joining our Patreon, link in the description below. Otherwise, you can watch some of these videos here that YouTube thinks you'd like, and that helps out a lot too. All right, I must go pick random, hopefully not poisonous things for